Merry Christmas, y'all. So yeah, for one, I'm Jewish, which most of you know. However, other half of the family does celebrate Christmas. I'm not home. I'm in LA from New York, New Jersey, and therefore I'm missing the festivities, which normally is what happens is I sit on the couch and watch Christmas Day basketball while everybody else kind of intermingles with each other and we eat and drink, and I continue to do that, just still on the couch. So I'm keeping tradition and continuing to watch Christmas Day basketball. Two games have finished. The title of this clip has to all do with Kyrie Irving because, he hit the game winner again, this time in Cleveland at Quicken Loans Arena, which sent the very wanting Cavaliers massive fan base into hysteria, because it was nice to see it happen on their court. It's just a regular season game. Christmas Day has always been a great marquee moment for the NBA because to some fans it's when the NBA season begins. To other fans, the NBA season doesn't begin until the playoffs actually start. And then to some others, we watch every game from start to finish since day one, which is where I'm pretty much falling into that. I'm going to be reading off some numbers off the phone in terms of statistics. I'm going to go to Twitter for some things. First things first. Yes, Richard Jefferson did foul Kevin Durant. It's tough to call those fouls because it's such a crucial moment in the game. And if you look hard enough, you probably could have found a foul technically on Kyrie Irving, although it was truly, once again, phenomenal defense on Klay Thompson's part and just better offense on Kyrie Irving's part. Also, I think I have a zit on my nose, so we're really rounding out the Christmas spirit here with Rudolph the Red Jew-Nosed Reindeer. I can crack myself up. All right, so the final score was 109-108. I'm going to read you some numbers. LeBron James had 31 points. Kyrie Irving had 25, two of those coming at the most crucial moment of the game. Kevin Durant had 36 and 15. Man. Steph Curry, 15 points, 4 of 11 shooting. Klay Thompson, 24 points, 9 of 16 shooting. He was 5 of 11 from the field. The bench was sporadic. They got a lot of minutes. Like Andre Iguodala got a lot of minutes, and he played some tremendous defense, as he always does, being everywhere on the court. They don't have the plus-minus on this. I was curious what Iguodala was. And we're going to get to the Knicks and the Celtics later on in the clip. But in terms of that game, starting off early on, the refs were pretty bad, making a tremendously terrible call against Draymond Green. And Draymond Green let them know it and got a technical really early on top of having already 2 personal fouls. And in general, as I think it was Stan Van Gundy does the broadcast, I like how just much of a straight shooter that Stan Van Gundy is. He thinks it's ridiculous that they called the technical there because he was barking, and understandably he's going to get that technical foul call because it seemed like he said some pretty spiteful stuff on Christmas Day to the refs. So no Christmas spirit for the refs. They called that one pretty quickly. And it was just a bad call. And the bad calls continued out throughout the game. And I just think in general, if you look hard enough, you're going to find bad foul calls in any game. And I also find that with a game with this much anticipation, this much hype, this much going into it as the finals rematch, and most likely the finals you're going to get again in a couple of months in 2017, that it's over exaggerated how bad the refs were. I don't think they were any worse than they ever are in any game of this kind of significance. We're not talking Kings-Lakers rigged Western Conference Finals bad. However, Richard Jefferson did foul Kevin Durant. He tripped him. But Kevin Durant, just imagine for a second if that shot went in, whatever you want to call it, where he just threw it up from his ass and into the basket. It would have been pretty damn rememberable. Best game of the NBA season so far? Yeah, nothing else really stands out since last year's Warriors-Thunder game in terms of regular season basketball. And I'm not going to go too much into analysis. The game just ended. And, you can check out highlights here and there. It's all over Instagram. It's all over NBA's YouTube channel. What you saw is kind of what I actually anticipated, not necessarily a sloppier game, but a slower-paced game. I was surprised that Durant was still able to score so many points, though he's lethal, especially when he throws it down in so many occasions when it comes to him attacking the rim. And LeBron just being everywhere. LeBron's passing ability, truly still one of the most remarkable things in the league. And I got to check Kyrie Irving's stat line one more time, because if he had 10 assists it would be like 4 out of 5 games where he's had 10 assists, and what that's telling me is that he's welcoming the distribution role of being a point guard. Kyrie did have 10 assists, so 4 of his last 5 games he had 10 plus assists. He just set his career high with 13, and for a guy who plays the point guard position, it's not like a remarkably high career high. But he's a young point guard, and it seems like his game is simply just getting better every time he has to step up in big moments, and he does. So what else could you ask for? You have your clutch shooter. You have the best passer in the game in LeBron James, one of the, if not the best player on the floor at all times in the game, LeBron James. And Kevin Love's playing some of the best basketball of his life. I find it hard to believe that there's a better team in the league right now, as the bell goes off, than the Cleveland Cavaliers. I found it hard to believe that there's a better team in the league 5 games into the season than the Cavaliers. The Warriors got Kevin Durant. We understand that. They lost some of their depth. We also understood that. What we didn't understand is how bad Zaza Pachulia is at basketball. He looks lost out there. He looks like he has not understood what the offense is or what his role in the offense is. And as a rim protector, he's just not as good as Andrew Bogut was. And if that was their main role, to simply be a big to clog the lane, he can't even do that effectively. So while the Warriors will outshoot and outscore 95% of the teams in the NBA, by putting up 140-point games where it renders Zaza Pachulia's play useless, you can pretty much beat some of these teams 4-on-5 when you have those 4 shooters and scorers like the Warriors have. Not actually, it's just an exaggeration. Although maybe the Suns. They might be able to beat the Suns 4-on-5. And maybe the Nets too, even though they've kind of hung tough. So I look at it and I go, maybe they should be really thinking about making a move at the trade deadline. They don't need to reinvent the wheel underneath the rim with a big man. What they need is a competent, probably veteran big man to bring in, and I don't think it would be that hard to swap some guys or some picks if they really want to make it to the NBA Finals again. Teams are going to learn to exploit Zaza Pachulia's play more and more and more. Are they going to lose in the playoffs? It's too early to tell. I don't know. The Spurs are scary. If the Clippers are healthy, they're scary. The Thunder have so much vengeance in their blood against the Warriors at this point that might cause problems, but I still foresee it being Cavs versus Warriors. I just think that the Cavs don't need 7 games to beat them anymore. I know, a rash takeaway from a 1-point victory that should have ended on the foul line, being 110-109 if Kevin Durant, or maybe 3 fouls, depending if he was behind the line, 111-109 to the Warriors, or maybe Durant misses his free throws. I mean, those who don't like Kevin Durant because he went to the Warriors now have so much ammunition, and I still think it's a little unfair because it was such a spotlight moment for him to get fouled or trip and not be able to take that shot. He could have hit it off to Curry last second, by the way, and Curry could have hit a 32-footer for all we know if that were to happen. However, fantastic basketball game, start to finish. Next up, Knicks versus Celtics. The Westbrook show is about to go on, a matinee in the afternoon here in LA at 2:30. The Westbrook show is about to go on against Zach LaVine and the Timberwolves. I say Zach LaVine and the Timberwolves and Karl Anthony Towns, and they're 9-20, and that's such a conundrum to me in general. But let's talk about the Knicks and the Celtics. Porzingis plays a lot of fight, man. And I actually thought he wasn't having a good game throughout most of it. But he does tend to crawl back in and claw his way back into certain possessions. When the Knicks made that run down in the last about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes of play, they're down by 9-ish. And we get a 3 from Carmelo, a 3 from Porzingis, and 1 from Porzingis, and a 2 from Melo. And all of a sudden, or it might have been Courtney Lee, and all of a sudden we have a tie basketball game. And then we play pretty decent defense against Marcus Smart, who Marcus Smart was making turnaround, ridiculous contested threes all night, or all morning here in LA to be specific. And the Celtics were the better team on the floor that from end to end. So the Knicks really actually didn't have much business clawing their way back into it. It was just nice to see. I give a lot of credit to Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was... he looked like some flashes of his old self with some up and unders, and he really did a good job distributing the ball, distributing the playmaking ability. Carmelo Anthony in standard form, holding onto the ball like we know he does. Jab stepping his way to a couple twos and exploding in the third for I think 15 points, and then being rendered pretty useless in the first and the fourth. And I think he still finished with around 30 points. I can pull up that box score too for you guys so I know exactly. Give me a second. Sorry for the break in the action. Celtics ended up winning by 5, but Melo had 29 points. He was 9-24 from the field, so he's one of the best Christmas Day players. He usually scores above 30 points, dating back to like 2010. And a lot of those times where he scores 30, they win. He scored 29. It wasn't nearly enough. Porzingis still had 22 and 12, which was good to see. He also had 5 turnovers, which is a little too much for him. And Rose had 25. Courtney Lee, I want to see Courtney Lee take far more threes. I think Courtney Lee has a good three ball. I don't understand why we get him the ball around the 18-foot mark away from the hoop, and he doesn't tend to step back to get behind the line. He tends to work on his game forward from there. I think we should just be using him as less of a dribbler and less of a cog in that passing scheme that they'll try to do to incorporate like a 1-2 to Porzingis or pick and roll type of style offenses between those two players, at least Derrick Rose and Porzingis in that fashion. But get it, kick it, give it to Courtney Lee. Have Courtney Lee kind of camp on the baseline, and let's have him develop that three-point shot, because that would be an instrumental part of the game for them to have. Let's only credit Isaiah Thomas for being, yes, a superstar. Isaiah Thomas is, to every extent of the word, a superstar point guard in the NBA. Given his size and stature alone, he has no business doing what he's doing. However, he defies all odds. He scores when it matters. He fights for rebounds with people who are a foot and a half taller than him. He pushes the pace. He dictates the tempo. He runs a complicated offense that Brad Stevens has conjured in his creative brain of his. And he plays on a team with mostly defensively sound players. Jay Crowder got hot from three, but his best asset of his game is defense. Avery Bradley finished with 11 points on 5 of 12 shooting, found his way to 6 rebounds and 2 assists. His best asset, defense. I think he had 3 blocks. He did. Avery Bradley had 3 blocks. Marcus Smart, his best asset, defense. Al Horford, about half and half. Portable guy, we've always called him that. And him and Porzingis each threw down a monstrous dunk with an open lane that was highlight worthy. But Isaiah Thomas is the scorer on that team, and he has to do so much more than that. But he's defensively sound. He's also got the mentality of a superstar. In his post-game interview, Isaiah Thomas still doesn't like exactly where the team's at, wants them to find their identity as a defensive team, as he dropped the names of the players that I just mentioned. And he talks about how they're just finding their way. They're slowly getting there. They have a lot more work to do. If they continue with this mentality and this work ethic, by the time the real second half of the season comes along, post All-Star break, the Celtics could look like one of the stronger teams in the Eastern Conference. I still believe they have the coaching and the personnel and the depth to cause problems for any team in the Eastern Conference, save for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who will have no problem with anybody in the Eastern Conference, save for maybe another Eastern Conference Finals rematch with the Raptors, where they take 1 or 2 games on their home court. Regardless, let's see. Does Westbrook have a triple-double yet? It's 2:33. I finished recording the clip. The game has... Oh, Westbrook's on later. My bad. The Spurs are up 26-8 on the Bulls, though. That was quick. Aldridge 6 of 6 with 12 points, and Kawhi Leonard has 11 on 3 of 3 shooting. Ooh, that could get ugly quickly in San Antonio. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. Feliz Navidad. You know, this is the most ridiculous hat I've ever worn on camera, but we can make it more ridiculous every time in 2017. Comment below, like, favorite, subscribe. All of the good stuff. See you next time.